Hey, Peace World. Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. Jump right into some bite down boxing talk. This Saturday on ESPN, we have Terence Crawford defending his WBO welterweight title against Kell Brook. And the main event, the co-main event will all be on regular ESPN or ESPN linear or linear ESPN. And then it's a couple of good fights that'll be down on ESPN Plus, probably starting at 7:30. So I was gonna jump on and kind of do my prediction piece real quick earlier in the week. I was at I participated in the press conference or the media availability that they did Monday. Not a whole lot was said there. I'll take a couple of things away from it. Also saw Kell Brook was just on first take, so that's a good look for the promotion of the event. So that's all that. First thing I just want to say, salute to all the fellas who served. I served myself, or I myself served in the Navy, 94 to 98. So it's dope to see all of the recognition for those that are currently serving the country and those that at some point in their life served. So that's dope. I'm gonna go out here and see what I can get free for lunch. I'm sitting here live streaming during my lunch, but I'm gonna try to get me something. Take advantage of that one benefit right there, and that's that. The fight. I'm taking Bud to win the fight. Um, if he, I do have some weakness. I do see some weaknesses or have some questions about Bud's, his fight game and whatnot, his style. We know that he gets hit at times, and it can be chalked up to him being um, uh, he's trying to mix it up. He's trying to make the fight more interesting, or he doesn't respect his opponent's power or his opponent's skill, whatever. I mean, it's hard for me to be in that man's mind at a particular moment when he gets hit with some shots, some different shots. What I am going to say, even with the Kabalowski situation where he was dropped, as a pound for pound guy, as somebody who some of the experts and these TV guys want to put on or say is some version of a Floyd Mayweather or putting him amongst the all-time greats. I don't want to see a guy getting hit with those types of shots. And then like in the David Benavidez fight, repeatedly in some instances. So that's not a good look for me. But it happens. He's made it through it. It's part of his style, and it results in the fact that some people say it gives people some chances to attack him for saying what he is and what he isn't. I'm not going to say what he isn't. It's just an area of his game that I would like to clean up. I would like to see cleaned up. But I think it's interesting here because I think Kell Brook is finally a guy who can exploit that. If he takes several big shots from Kell Brook, it could change the complexion of this fight. It could change alter the course of the fight. So it's something to keep an eye on, especially with him getting hit early. Him switching, southpaw and orthodox. Sometimes I don't understand why he spends as much time in the southpaw stance, but I feel like Bud is kind of a boxer brawler, and yeah, and can get to the got some visitors. Um, Threw my whole chain of thought off. Got a brother in town, for a former service member, retiree, Air Force retiree, over from Indiana. But anyway, like I said, that's kind of the thing here is he's finally fighting a dude who's big, and then alongside that, the question was with Kell Brook is it's been his inconsistency, his inactivity, and the inconsistency in the performances when he has fought. And then he hasn't been at this weight in a few years. He did sound positive earlier in the week about being down at this weight with no problem. He expects to be the bigger man on. So that all right, okay. Uh, um, the Luka, he got the knockout. Rabchenka, only fought, didn't even fight in 2019. Only fought twice in 2018, once in 2017. So, um, like I said, and that's kind of what I was aiming for with the title of the video. Like, is this even a win-win for Terence Crawford? And I saw earlier in the week when he was at the press conference where he's just kind of resigned to like, uh, he really can't win, period. And somebody asked about Errol Spence, and he said, I don't even need him. I don't need him to legitimize or for legacy purposes up at welterweight. I don't even need him. And we know that that's not a true statement. So with his mindset like that, I mean, all he can really do is go in here and take care of business Saturday night and come out victorious. We just saw the same thing with Devin Haney, with him fighting Gamboa. He looked great, had a lot of great moments, and then you jump on social media and the narrative is that Devin Haney is boring. He needs to go back to the drawing board. He's not this, he's not that. He can't compete with the other two guys or the other three guys at that division. But he just dominated this man. Now, did he get off of his game from the holding and whatnot, and he didn't live up to the prediction that he put out there? How do you weigh those things? With Crawford, he gets a legit welterweight. If he dominates and goes the distance, that's a problem. Why didn't you get this guy out of here earlier? Why did he hit you this number of times? Why was this? Why was that? What took you so long? Whatever. If he knocks him out early, he was a bum. Kell Brook was washed. He was a bum. That's nothing. So if he goes out there and senses that Brook is easy to beat, and maybe he leaves himself open, to some shot, take one to get one. It's going to be some complaints about that. So all he can really do, man, is get this victory Saturday. And, for him, at least he's professional enough of a professional to understand the situation, go take care of business, and go about his business. And I think that's why he was as resigned as he was in the press conference Monday, because he understands, like, whatever he does is going to be some questions. And then but the one thing though that I took from it, it didn't sound like he didn't sound like a guy that's ready necessarily to head over to the PBC to chase that fight. That might, in the end, ultimately, that might be what he does, because of where he is in his career and what he, and being a prize fighter. That might be something that he does, but I really didn't get that sense from him as he was answering questions Monday that he's definitely looking at going in a different direction when his deal is up. But that's just what's a mess at welterweight, man, and it's kind of hard. That's kind of why I'm kind of reserved with my excitement for this weekend, because of this is another good moment for boxing that can easily be torn apart by the naysayers, the cynics, the factions out here, the people that believe wholeheartedly or support the PBC unconditionally. They're watching this fight to tear down whatever Bud does. And then you have the people who rock with Bud, and that's a different group, because the people that rock with Bud might not even really rock with the banner that Bud fights under. And so they can come out of this fight with whatever their narrative is. And that's just a sad thing. It's just a sad thing. Like I said, for last week, for Devin Haney, I mean, the man comes out and dominates the best name on his resume. and look good, and then you get in here and there's some cats online talking about he moves too much, or this and that. Now, if you want to question Devin Haney's power, I mean that's an obvious thing to that's reasonable. I have no argument with that. But just to say that he had a bad night, I mean I don't know how you damn near sweep 12 rounds and it's a horrible night for you. So I don't know, man. People do what they want to do with this sport. Like I said, I don't know. I think Bud can stop Brook. I'm just hoping that Brook looks decent at the weight, that it's a good fight, and I think Terence will have a chance to win it late, to win by stoppage late. He has more than enough tools to make that happen. I do think one thing that Kell Brook mentioned on First Take was that he has an advantage because he's a true welterweight. He'll be the bigger man, and that he's the toughest name that Crawford has faced at welterweight. I think he's far enough along into his campaign at 147 to where that's really not a major concern for me at this point. And I think Bud is interesting because he is kind of a slender guy. But I played basketball with some guys who were taller than me, in 6'2", 6'3", and were really slender guys. But for some reason or not, they were strong as hell. And here I am at 5'10", I'm in the weight room more so than being a basketball player at that point. And I'm out here on the floor struggling with this rangy guy, to root him up out of the post or whatever. We're going at it on the block. So you find some guys that are just naturally strong. And I think you probably seen the video or the whether it was a social media post or whatever it was with Bud deadlifting, 400 pounds or 500 pounds or something. So I think he's got a good base on him and is solid. He's just a solid fighter. I don't foresee Brook being able to push him around a whole lot. And then we know that Bud is a dog. And I would suspect that if he's, like I said, we get into round 5, 6, 7, if Brook doesn't have another gear that he can get to, I would expect that Crawford starts to try to take him apart, and start accumulating enough damage to get him up out of there. So we'll see about that. Looking at the rest of the card, Joshua Franco and Andrew Maloney having their fight for the WBA Superfly title, the rematch from earlier this year. Not a bad fight. I was talking to Xavier Porter from, I can't remember what the name of his platform is. What's good, Latours? I got a brother that was just in here. He's over here from Indiana. Friend of the family, my wife's people. About 74 years old. He drove over here. I can't remember what part of Indiana he's from, but it's not Naptown. But looking at Franco and Maloney, I just think that's going to be a pretty good rematch. Oh, I was talking to Xavier Porter. I can't remember what his outlet is, but he was saying that this was a horrible card or a boring card. It's not the ideal card that we would like for Terence Crawford. But I think with Joshua Greer coming back to the undercard against Edwin Rodriguez, I'm not that familiar with. But, Greer is a dude who was in line to get a shot at Inoue, possibly. All of that went down the drain with him losing the fight to Mike Plania, or Magic Mike, at the beginning of this when boxing resumed. And so we get to see what Josh has been up in the gym working on and how he's tried to improve. I'm off of social media, so I don't really know what he's been, who he's been sparring or practicing. I know he went back to his old trainer in George Hernandez and was training in Chicago in his hometown for the fight against Plania. But we'll see what he's working with. I know he runs in the same circles with Shakur, with Duke Reagan is also on this card. He'll be on ESPN Plus. I'll probably gets in some work with him. I know he's been in the gym with the right people, so we'll see how he looks against Rodriguez. I guess Rodriguez has 5 losses, but I think he's 3-1-1 in his last 5 fights. So it's a way for him to get back in the mix. And then also Tyler Howard is a middleweight, shorter middleweight from Tennessee. He's been inactive. He's one of the top ranked guys who was hot maybe at the end of 2018. I thought he could box a little bit. I think his nickname is Hercules or something. Like I said, he's a shorter middleweight, but he's coming back and getting in action. That's on ESPN Plus against Keandre Leatherwood, who has a pretty good he has like 30 fights damn near. So that'll be an interesting matchup to see what Howard is about. Howard had a couple of tough outings against some guys who made him work or not look so great. And, they stepped him back a little bit. Like I said, he's been on the fence for the last year and some change. We'll also see Raymond Murataya come back against Luis Porozo. Not that familiar with him. But Murataya is at 10-0 right now. Okay. Cincinnati's Duke Reagan is on this card, a featherweight, going into his third fight against Sebastian Gutierrez. Gutierrez is only 1-0, so they're not really, it's not a major step-up fight or anything for Reagan. Reagan went the distance last time out. He fought like 6 or 7 weeks ago against an MMA guy. He didn't get the knockout, had the big knockout in his debut fight. And had to go the distance in his second fight. So it'll be interesting to see what he went back to the gym and worked on. Again, he's another guy that spends a lot of time, I believe. He's trained by K. Karama. And like I said, he's in the mix with Shakur Stevenson and whatnot and what they got going on. And then this other name on here, Vegas Larfield, I'm not all that familiar with that person. So, yeah, it's not the greatest card that we like to see for Terence Crawford. But, Terence didn't want to come back and fight in front of without fans. He was adamant about that early on. And, he's since had to change his stance on that, recognizing that, the COVID situation wasn't going away and that the fans weren't going to return to events anytime soon. So I think it's dope that he agreed to come back. I think it's a good look that that's another thing with Top Rank. I see the criticism. This was one of the first media availabilities where they had DeBuff. I think it was DeBuff that was on. Was it Goodman? One of those two was on the media availability Monday, and they actually came in and made a big statement before the press of the media could start asking questions. And he was just talking about the relationship with Terence Crawford, the Relentless program. I still haven't watched that yet, but the shoulder programming that they put together, they let it, they were adamant that they've put great events around, but you can argue, whether you believe that or disagree with that. They came out and said, hinted at the fact that they've tried to do the biggest events possible with him, recognizing that hasn't come to fruition, for different reasons. But it was just interesting how they set the tone of the discussions, and even their PR guy jumped in on a couple of people that asked questions and brought up Errol Spence Jr. or other fights or other possibilities. They were like, stay on topic, focus on this fight. Usually they don't really do that, but that's kind of what was going on Monday. So, like I said, man, I sense that Crawford is just like, I just got to go in here and take care of business and whatever. I think it was, like I said, it was disappointing to hear him address Errol Spence Jr. in a fight with him the way that he did. But what can you do? I mean, what can you do? Because let's be honest. If Bob broke down and said, look, I give Errol Spence 10 million, 12 million, whatever, guaranteed plus some upside or whatever, let's get that fight done. Or whatever, 15 million, 20 million. There's probably no amount of money that that the PBC that Heyman and Arrow would take to make that fight, because they don't have to make that fight. They have tons of options that won't hurt what they're trying to do and how they're trying to progress with Arrow's career, provided that everything is okay with him. And by the way, I didn't get it. I went to work yesterday and didn't get a chance to do the media availability for Spence and Garcia and Garcia's father. But I'm just saying, there's no way to make that fight. So I'm kind of in the same lane with Bud. Like, why even talk about it anymore? I mean, there's nothing that you can do. Bud said he's going to PBC. Where'd you see that at? I mean, it makes sense. And like I said, he's a professional and you know, got tons of years in service in this thing. I was just saying, oh, okay. Well, then there it is. Then I don't listen to Custer's podcast, but good contribution. Thanks for contributing to the discussion. Well, that's it then. But look, I wasn't gonna hold you up, man. Like I said, I got Crawford winning this one. Could be a late stoppage. He should probably push for that, just to avoid going to the cards and anything suspect happening or anything questionable. I expect a good effort from Kell, but like I said, man, he's just been inconsistent, inactive. I just don't know how you can have those things working against you. What was it? 3 fights in 2 years? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 fights. 3 fights in 2 years. Like, how do you come in and fight a guy who's one of the top 3, top 2 guys in the world? That's a tough ask. So, you know, I'd expect Bud to box early, look for his shots, and then start breaking the dude down and making life miserable for him later in the fight. See if he can get him out of there. Brook, I mean, to me, he's a pretty straightforward fighter. Jab, you know, add the right hand. Can box fairly decently. Kell thirsty, but going to drowning. Yeah, I think definitely. I just, it's not really Brook's nature to be a one punch guy. I don't think he's the same guy that was faring pretty well against Spence. Hopefully, you know, hopefully physically he holds up pretty well, and that doesn't become an issue in the fight. And another thing that bothers me for this type of fight, you know, usually we get a month or two, a month and a half, 2 months, you know, for the build up to a matchup of this magnitude. This fight came out of nowhere, you know, maybe like 5 or I guess from Kell Brook, I think he mentioned that he had a good idea that this fight was going to happen, which allowed him to get going with his weight loss and whatnot and being able to make 147 since he hasn't made it in 2 or 3 years. So there was, you know, something was in the works. But like I said, just because of the COVID situation and how tricky scheduling is and getting fights done right now, a lot of these fights are getting put together a lot sooner than with less lead time than we normally have. So that's another thing that concerns me a little bit. What kind of sparring partners was he able to get? You know, we know that he doesn't have his normal coach with him and whatnot. So it's a couple of things that concern me in that manner. But at the end of the night, I just see Crawford getting his hand raised. Hopefully it's a great fight for everybody. Look, my lunch break is over. It's been real rocking with you. Let me get on out of here, man. Bite down boxing. Don't let them count you out. Pay me no mind, sports and entertainment. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Peace.